Hi everybody, Rad Mom here. Welcome back to the boys' room where my desk is, and today we're going to be reading chapter 3 of my book, Bexwell Arcana. Last time we had a trip to London for a photography session and some secondhand stores, which sounds just riveting, I know. Historical fiction, yay. It's a bit of a slow build, but man, let me tell you, let me assure you, we're building to some stuff, okay? I promise. This one's a little fun. This one, chapter 3 is one of my favorites, if I'm honest. It's a little fun and a little scary, and, well, we're still a child, so, you know. Here we go. Oh, but first, thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you enjoy my content, or if you're enjoying the book, please comment below with any questions, comments, ideas, thoughts, whatever you have about it. We are still working here at Rad Mom to drag feminism back into the real world. But as I said in yesterday's video, I think it was, that I'm pretty firmly convinced that we're going to achieve that through something other than a frontal assault on, you know, the patriarchy and everything. So do not think for one moment that I have slipped from a mission by being distracted by writing a book, despite it being fiction. I think that fiction can be a very powerful delivery device for philosophical ideas. So really that's what I'm trying to accomplish here. Well, among other things, but that's the main thing. So here we go. Chapter 3, and now it's Christmas. The big fat fir tree nearly filled one of the tall drawing room windows. Be sure to stick it through the center. Mother pinched a large dull needle in one hand and a fluffy kernel of popcorn in the other. They hovered above her knees before the wide eyes of little Lulu. She pierced the kernel firmly, pulling it along the thread to meet its brothers. Your turn. She handed the needle to Lulu, rising from the settee and crossing to the window, the Christmas tree, and me. Up the hill across the high, flat lawn, dark patches in the snow showed the melt of a warm day ended. Spotted among them, I could see the arc of my own footprints from that morning's escape plan. She said they never found you today. I clipped a fine silver candle holder to the flat end of a branch. They didn't. Running uphill had winded Kathy and the gardener who answered her calls. Pushing through the gate, I had veered off into the shade of the dell and was gone. I retrieved another clip from the box on a nearby chair. Where did you go? Pinched the branch with one hand, squeezed the clip with the other. Release. Into the bracken, of course. Coco, her tone carried a warning. This is not funny. Suppose you were to get lost. I turned and stepped to the box, retrieving another clip. I could never be lost out there. Turning back, I saw her cock her hips as her hand landed there. You cannot keep running off in this weather. Anger now. You could freeze. Pinch, squeeze, release. Are you even listening? Pivot, step. Of course, Mother. Mama, I did it! Lulu's sticky face beamed from across the room. Good girl, her reply a little sharp. The praise was cut short by the sound of barking dogs echoing up from the courtyard. Daddy's home! Lulu clapped, dropping the thick needle into the bowl of popcorn. The string caught her shoe as she bounced across the rug, spilling tiny white clouds underneath both sofas. Lulu! Mother stooped towards her, arms outstretched. I'm sure the dogs will clean that up. She scooped Lulu to her hip and headed for the stairs. Moonlight had settled over the lawn, icy dark footprints gleaming like sloppy jewels. Christmas Eve tea was cake and puddings with roasted nuts, 4 even portions of popcorn in crystal bowls set at perfect intervals around the high round table. This is very funny to me because I just got done writing a Christmas scene for book 3. That takes place at this same table and is very different. Before the hearth lay a long wooden tray, crumbs and leftover shells and kernels rolling in its corners. Stacked before, ooh, that should be capitalized. Bam, I'm just gonna freaking fix that right now because I can. Stacked before the fire was a pile of dusty cushions along with some old quilts and Lulu's floral duvet. Tiny white candles twinkled in their silver clips. Red baubles like swollen glass berries hung between garlands of popcorn. Spread beneath were several packages, each snugly wrapped in brightly colored red and white paper. I leaned back on a dusty cushion, letting the fire claw at my bare shins. Now, Mama? Lulu's head bobbed just below the lip of the tall table. All right. She balled up her napkin and laid it on her empty plate. Augie, are you ready? Father's knee lay on the tabletop, the rest of him hidden behind a newspaper. Yes, Livy. Then put that paper away. He folded it and laid it on the table, twisting in his seat to look toward the tree. Come along, boys. She led the 3 of them over, Lulu squeaking with excitement. You too. She waved me over. Mrs. Loftus has sent you something. Tutors did not usually give presents. I pulled myself away from the fire, catching a draft as I crossed the room and drawing my housecoat closed. Charlie received his with a small kiss, returning with it to the table. Mother directed Georgie to the settee, where he plopped down beside his big box. 2 for Coco. She handed them to me with a raised brow. I carried them back to my cozy nest. A squeal and the sound of ripping paper let us know to begin. Mother's red package was small and square. Within was a thin gold bracelet tucked into a wisp of cotton. The other was rectangular, wrapped in pale blue paper printed with tiny snowflakes. Tearing this away revealed a brown suede book, its cover embossed with letters C.G. All the pages within were empty. What did she send you? Mother peeked around the edge of the settee. A book. What is it? I held it up with a shrug. I don't know. There's nothing in it. A blank book? A thin line appeared between her dark brows, but she blinked it away, smiling again. Do you like your bracelet, darling? I smiled back. Very much. Thank you, Mother. Happy Christmas, Coco. Happy Christmas, Mother. I lounged back across the cushions, flipping through empty pages. What is it for? I laid it aside and tucked my head into the crook of my elbow, rolling along with the fire in the grate into a low, pensive flicker as Lulu's giggles bounced off the high walls. A fingertip in my shoulder startled me awake. What did you get? Georgie knelt beside the dying fire, holding out a stiff little man in a bright red uniform. I yawned, sitting up to take the Tin Man from him. A bracelet and a blank book. A blank book? He snatched it up, opening it sideways and letting it flutter shut again. Weird. He stood up and handed it to Charlie, who had been standing over us. Here you are. Charlie popped the covers apart, then snapped it shut, gripping the outer edge and running a pointed finger along the smooth spine. Too nice for a girl, he nodded, tucking it under his arm as he turned away. Hey! I sprang up, pushing past Charlie. Shh! Mother hissed from beneath the floral duvet on the settee. She's finally asleep. I followed Charlie, biting my tongue until I was safely around the curve of the stairs. That's mine! Not anymore, his taunts echoed up from below, the brown ball of his head bouncing on around and down. Yes, it is! Give it back! One hand pressed against the center column and the other splayed out for balance. I skidded down the narrow edge of the spiral stairs. Momentum propelled my leap through the doorway, but his long legs had already carried him to the far side. He jogged through the next door, and I flew along behind, my housecoat flapping. He turned to face me, and I stamped my sore feet to stop from crashing into him. You want it, little sister? He smirked, holding it above his head. Yes, I growled. Here it is. He tossed it over my head. Georgie jogged through the doorway just in time to catch it. He wrinkled his nose at it. I don't want it. Pages fluttered as it flew back overhead. I do! I leapt for it, missing miserably. Psh! Charlie scoffed as he snatched it out of the air. What for? He tossed it again. I don't know. I jumped uselessly. I could write in it. What would you have to write about? Georgie's voice in my little book came from behind me. Why do you care? I fluttered between them. I don't. Charlie gave a lazy toss. The book fell past Georgie's outstretched fingers. I dove for it, but he was quicker, stepping on past to duck through a low doorway. I was right behind, nearly falling down a steep stone step at the mouth of a low, dark corridor. A heavy creak echoed off the cool walls as I stumbled up another step, the rough floor biting my bare knees. Georgie's legs brushed past my face. There was another wailing creak, and I stood up to follow him, my fingers butting against rough wood. Georgie's giggles faded away on the other side of the thick door. Georgie! I smacked it, pawing at it, searching for something to grab onto. Georgie! Holding my breath, I could hear nothing but my own heart rushing in my ears. I promised myself they would never get the better of me again. Mother would surely find me. She'd ask where I was, flying to my rescue, all tears and kisses. Charlie would really be in for it after this. I sat down to wait, leaning against the wall with my pulse still pounding. Below it, I could make out the wind, rising and falling down some unseen cavern. My knees throbbing, I tugged my housecoat around me, sinking into it. Maybe I was still asleep before the fire. The cold old stones reassured me that I was not. I let my eyes full closed, listening to my breath and the breath of the earth, rising and falling like waves rolling in only to burst into foam against sharp rocks. The wretched moan of big hinges snapped my head back, receiving a hard kiss from the wall. The brightest light flooded in, followed by her voice. Corisande, get up off that disgusting floor. A firm grip pulled me up and back along the corridor, light stinging my eyes as her fingers twisted my flesh. We marched across the courtyard under a cold, starless sky. She pulled me up the staircase and across the landing into my chambers. Stay in here, you understand? My hands are full enough. I don't want to see you until tomorrow. Alone once more, I climbed into my bed, the smell of so many quiet dreams at last slowing my thumping heart, my pillows catching my tears. Footsteps approached and there was a knock at the bedroom door. My voice caught in my throat. Who is it? The door swung open and Georgie peeked from behind it. Brought you this? He tossed something, the door already falling shut again. The book landed with a gentle bounce. I wiped my face with my sleeve and crawled to retrieve it, raw knees catching on the blanket. I leapt from the bed and bounded to the far window. Above a cushioned bench overlooking the sculpted hedges, a piece of the sill had come loose. My back against the wall, I shoved it up with my shoulder and slid the little book inside. Yeah, so her brother sucked. And that's the end of chapter 4. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I hope that anyone is enjoying it. Not everyone. It's not for everyone. If you're not on board for Victorian historical fiction, well, this is probably not going to be your jam. If you're not on board for, first-person female protagonist, then this is not going to be your jam. But that's what we got. So I hope that y'all are enjoying it. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and please like and subscribe for more like this, and I will be back tomorrow with Chapter 4. Bye-bye now.